Hello everyone, I all hope you had a very wonderful day and a very great day ahead. I'm very quietly sorry for that mixed up on yesterday's video with the how the half of me exactly showed up. But today, guys, I'm exactly gonna be speaking about a different character today, and I all hope you had a beautiful day and a very great evening. As you can see, the sun is quietly up and the sky is quietly still beautiful. So let's exactly get to it. Today's character is on Laura, the Dark Witch, who is a wife of a supervillain known as Black Mask, who she exactly gave him two sons, Ghostmaster and also Shadowfly, who are the most notorious super criminals and the most well-known supervillains in the sacred world and in the sacred universe. Ghostmaster exactly gave his mother three grandchildren: Firebird, Fire Dragon, and Witch Hunter. So as I told you yesterday on yesterday's video, that Laura is a dark witch and also wife of Black Mask, who is a supervillain and also an enforcer of the New Little Magics organization. Still exactly serving the New Little Magics organization in its goals because he believes in its goals and as well as its mission, as the same implies to the Dark Witch Laura. She also believes in the Little Magic's goals and also in his mission to wipe out and exterminate the supernaturals and the alien races of the sacred world and of the sacred universe. So let's exactly get to it. In Laura's earlier life, she began studying the physics and the combination of dark magic and the light magic in order to harness its power for herself, and also to study its knowledge and its great aspects. The dark druids and the dark witches able to recruit her in her earliest childhood, in her earliest life, in order to exactly help her further her studies and her mission. During at that time, Laura began to infuse herself with dark magic and also with shadow energy, making her the most powerful dark witch ever existed throughout the sacred world and throughout the sacred universe. In doing so, Laura's magic became corrupted, became destructive, and became dark and became more destructive than ever, more corrupted, more death magic within it involved, granting her the power of teleportation, the power of resurrection, the power of mind reading, the power of controlling the dead and the living, and the power of sensing magical creatures and abilities throughout the known universe and throughout the rest of the sacred world. In doing so, Laura was even granted the ability of combining dark magic with destructive technology in order to create a more destructive technology for the Shadow Empire and also for the original Little Magic at that time, which was quietly serving. And she quietly loved and believed in Orlando Magic's goals and his mission. During at that time, she met up with a powerful supervillain known as Black Mask. Black Mask was quietly surprised to see the Dark Witch Laura in her beauty, in her glorious, beauteous form ever, despite her being in her corrupted form. But Laura still remained beautiful than ever, being infused with shadow energy, granted her the powers of immortality, able to maintain her beautiful appearance and her beautiful complexion remained the same, and her hair remained the same as always. She even gained new powers and new abilities, even super than ever, even super speed and super strength with abilities granted by the shadow energy and as well as complexion at the time. During at the time, Black Mask was quietly taken by surprise as he never seen such raw power and raw beauty in such a powerful dark witch as was Laura, and she was quietly compelled by Black Mask's beauty and as well his complexion. She was quietly drawn to his attractiveness and as well to his beauty and his great looks, and more than that, to his great abilities and his great power and his great reputation in exactly leading the organization of the Royal Magic, in becoming its intergalactic enforcer in order to further the Royal Magic's goals and also to further his own goals and his ambition. Laurel was quietly Laura was quietly blinded by the love that she had for Black Mask, as so was Black Mask himself. Laura continued to further her experiments with the Little Magic in order to make sure that the Shadow Empire remained the most dominant, powerful force in the entire known universe and in the rest of the sacred universe. She appeared at the throne room in her earliest life, granting the Little Magic's permission in order to further dark experiments with the other dark magic users, such as the dark druids and the dark witches and the dark faithful. The Little Magic exactly granted her permission in order to further her experiments and also her power. But in doing so, the Little Magic exactly told her that she'll be furthering her experiments and also in her studies with the witch of power, known as the goddess of power, Amber, which will exactly take her under her ropes. And Laura was quietly, medicinally pleased with this, that she'll be taken by the legendary witch of power known as Amber, the goddess of power herself, leader of the Dark Seekers, guys. The Dark Seekers are a group of dark magical users who are led by Amber, the goddess of power, witch of power herself, exactly, guys. And in doing so, Laura was quietly, sadistically pleased that she'd be led by the legend herself and that she'd be following through her example. During at that time, Laurel began going to the archives, began going through the archives of the Goddess of Power's archives in order to learn the secrets of life and power and immortality in order to further the Empire's ambition and as well as its goals. At that time, Black Mesa approached her, telling her that she was a very, very beautiful dark witch and a very, very powerful dark witch, stating that with her by her side, he'll be more powerful than any other supervillain on Earth, and against the Four Nation Hunters, he'll be too powerful against them, and that he'll exactly be more dangerous and more collectively more stronger and more indestructible and more invincible with her by her side. And Laura additionally agreed to Black Mesa, stating that together that they'll exactly be powerful as they learned from Laurel and Amber, who became the Laurel Magic, Laurel who became the Laurel Magic, and Amber who became the goddess of power and the witch of power, who became exactly the most powerful couple ever in the entire known universe and throughout the rest of sacred history, stating that they are exactly to follow the example. And Laura successfully agreed with him, saying that he would exactly do best well, that they exactly fell in love together in order to bore children and grandchildren for their ambition and for their goals. Within after that moment passed, Laura began to become pregnant with two sons, boring Black Mask with two sons at the time, and Black Mask was quietly proud and very quietly pleased at the time that he'd be having two sons of his own. He gave his two sons supervillain names. He gave his two sons supervillain names, such as one known as Ghostmaster, the other one known as Shadowfly, and he was quietly pleased that his sons will inherit the family name, and will exactly continue the family legacy in order to expanding it and also making the family reputation more powerful than it's ever been ever before. And Black Mask was additionally quietly pleased. Despite that the children didn't inherit their mother's immortality, which they did exactly inherit their mother's immortality in order to preserve their good looks and all of that. They exactly took their father's good looks from their father's side and also inherited something from their mother's side, which was immortality, but not the dark magical abilities. They didn't inherit that. They inherited the skills of martial artists, hand-in-hand combat, swordsmanship, and also guns, taser blades, and able to equip themselves with guns and taser blades. During the following year, Black Mask continued to train his sons, able to exactly teach them the ropes of hand-to-hand combat, martial artists, swordsmanship, even agility, endurance, sensing abilities, able to sense the enemy's abilities in far range. But his sons were quietly human, but they were quietly exactly human beings who inherit the power of immortality and the good looks of immortality. As I previously said, they were exactly trained to fight in hand-to-hand combat, swordsmanship, agility, endurance, inheriting all these powers and all these abilities in order to become the most powerful assassins and the most deadly criminals ever existed on the sacred world and as well on the sacred universe. Black Mask was quietly pleased. During at that time, Laura began the experiments with the Laura magic, able to harness the power and energy of the shadow energy and also magical energy. She created a huge dark machine, a huge dark crystal machine that can extract and harvest all the shadow energy in a matter of moments. That in doing so will exactly stop the Shadow Empire from colonizing and mining worlds and planets across the known universe and across the sacred world and across the sacred world and across the sacred universe. In doing so, the Laurel Magic was so destiny quietly pleased that Laurel was able to extract shadow energy and harvest all the crystals in a matter of minutes with the dark druids and with the dark witches at her sides, meaning that he made exactly the right choice in making her to become the next leader of the group of the dark druids and the dark witches and also the dark faithful. And the Laurel Magic was additionally quietly pleased. Within her secret layer of her laboratory, Laura began conducting experiments with shadow energy trying to harness its power for herself and also for the faithful and also for the witches and also for the druids herself in order to make sure that the end that the Shadow Empire remains the most dominant, powerful force in a known universe, which is exactly still thanks to Amber and the rest of the dark magic users by harnessing the power of shadow energy and the power of the dark entity is why the Shadow Empire is remaining the most dominant, powerful force in the known universe and throughout the sacred universe. It is due to the intervention and the works of the dark druids and also the most powerful dark witches ever existed with the enhancing and studying of shadow energy and also the dark entities and the experiments that the Shadow Empire has remained the most powerful dominant force in the entire known universe and in the rest of the sacred universe. During that time, Laurel began experimenting through herself, able to understand the powers of dark energy, the powers of shadow energy, and its immortality and its given power. At that time, Ghostmaster visited her in her sacred lair, telling her that he needs more destructive technology and more destructive power in order to supply his masters and his new masters and his new masters and his new masters, which was quietly serving. Laurel began to ask Ghostmaster exactly why would he serve his new masters when he already has a new master known as the Lord of Magic. Ghostmaster exactly told her mother that he didn't believe in the Lord of Magic's goals and his mission in what he exactly was doing. He believed in his master's goals rather than the Lord of Magic's goals. While the mother quietly satisfactorily agreed that she will continue supplying her son with endless destructive technology as part of the agreement, and she will continue satisfactorily supporting him no matter what, even if they exactly serving different masters and different big bad bosses that they're quietly serving and working for. Ghostmaster was additionally proud about this and was additionally very happy that her mother respected his choices and respected his circumstances, despite that they are quietly working from different sides or working from the sides of different forces of evil. So that is quietly creating a huge rift within the family, but not the rift that could easily be broken up. But the mother understands her son's decisions as Ghostmaster respects her mother's decision in serving the Little Magic, the original Little Magic, and also Ghostmaster serving the secret and ancient secret society of supervillains known as the Founders, who have a goal in ruling and in conquering the known universe and the sacred worlds and the sacred universe by any and all means necessary. That is what Heal is willing to do to help his new masters achieve that goal. After that time quietly passes, Laurel began exactly meditating through her secret laboratory, able to exactly meditate through everything else in order to exactly gain seize more power and granting her more power and more flexibility of sensing the events throughout the known universe and throughout the rest of sacred existence after that time. She was able to exactly hear news that Ghostmaster has children and she has quietly has a wife known as Nora. Nora is a light hunter. She comes from a clan of light hunters with the ability of using light energy and light magic to fight against the Shadow Empire's forces, against the dark hunters of the Shadow Empire, and against Shadow's forces and against his followers. Laurel is a Laurel Nora is a very, very good light hunter who gave Ghostmaster three children to be exact. One is a superhero known as Firebird. One is a supervillain known as Fire Dragon. One is Witch Hunter who is either trapped between good and evil, who doesn't know exactly which sides to pick within the family. But Firebird is quietly following in her mother's example, not in her father's example, Ghostmaster, or in her grandfather's example, known as Black Mask. She's well aware of the family history that Black Mask is her grandfather and that he's a notorious super criminal and a very powerful supervillain with her grandmother by her side, known as Laura, the Dark Witch, who was exactly leading him and helping him in his mission. Firebird was quietly shocked that he's quietly trapped between good and evil within the family, within her families, and that her mother is a superhero on the other side, her father is a supervillain on the other side. Despite that, Firebird chose the heroic path of the family rather to stay on the dark side of the family. In doing so, she was quietly pleased. After hearing the news that Ghostmaster has three children and that she's a grandmother to those children, Laura became more displeased that Firebird took a path of following the heroic side rather to join the family legacy of becoming the bad guy or rather to joining the dark side. she was not exactly quietly pleased, also distantly happy. One of her dark druid informed her that the Laurel Magic is now waging war against the Universal Heroes and against the members of the Universal Heroes of Firebird, Warboy, and Universal Man, and Rex himself and the members of the Universal Heroes were quietly leading the team of the Universal Heroes to fight against the war against the Laurel Magic. One doctor even informed me that the Laurel Magic might be facing his demise sooner rather than later, and he informed Laurel that he needs to take action in trying to convince him to sway from this path of destruction. Otherwise, it could be the end of him, and it could be the end of all of us. Laurel exactly told one of the dark druids that it's best that we just sit idly by and let this event play out the way it was destined to exactly play out the way it's supposed to be. If anything else happens to our master or to our Lord, it won't exactly be held to our responsibility, it'll be held to his responsibility. Few months after the Universal Heroes have been formed with their own teams and with their own work, after taking down a group of ancient secret societies or supervillains such as the Founders, able to exactly take it down with their own plan, Universal Man decided to construct an operation to take down the Laurel Magic and put an end to his reign once and for all, discovering that his plans are bigger and more destructive and more full of destruction and great loss that are coming on the way in order to put an end to the Laurel Magic's demise, which is exactly what exactly came to what exactly came to happen. The Laurel Magic exactly went in war with the Universal Heroes, and the Universal Heroes went in war with him. In doing so, the Laurel Magic was quietly facing his demise by the the chosen child of the previous Universal Man and Universal Woman, known as the new Universal Man, who formed the Universal Heroes in order to take down the original Laurel Magic, which was exactly what happened. The original Laurel Magic faced his demise under the hands of the new Universal Heroes, and he was quietly killed at that time. In doing so, his death created a power vacuum unlike any other, forcing each Shadow Empire and Warlord and Commander to fight for the Shadow Empire throne, and in order for them to rule the Shadow Empire, this created a sacred galactic conflict within the Shadow Empire, and the rest of the galaxy was well aware of this, and that there's a huge sacred galactic pandemic war that's about to be coming, and a sacred huge galactic pandemic war that's brewing, and that's on its way, that could determine the fate of the sacred world and the fate of the other universes, such as the Golden Universe, Mixel Universe, Robotic Universe, Sacred Universe, Over Universe, and all the other universes that are quietly on the way. Laurel quietly heard the news that the Laurel Magic quietly faces his demise under the hands of the Universal Heroes, and she was quietly heartbroken and was quietly displeased with this. In doing so, she teleported straightly to Black Mass, telling him that it's time for them, in order for them to move up their operations and getting their operatives in action. That exactly happened on the 1st of February. His demise exactly took part on the 1st of February, where Noel exactly teleported straightly to Black Mass in order to tell him that the Laurel Magic has passed away. Black Mass exactly told Laurel that we know the news that the Laurel Magic has quietly passed away and that it's quietly out of our hands, but meaning that it's time in order for them to secure the Shadow Empire's throne and its future, meaning by any means necessary. Black Mass was able to meet with the other Shadow Empire warlords and commanders within the Dark Crystal Room, telling them that it's time for them, in order to begin their operation in fighting for the Shadow Empire's throne, and in order for them to dismiss the other Shadow Empire warlords and commanders who are about to take the throne. He told them that they cannot allow someone worse or someone dark and more powerful and more dangerous than ever to sitting on that throne. It has to be someone else worthy of that throne, not another rookie Shadow Empire warlord or commander who's quietly thinking that destiny has quietly chosen him. It has to be someone worthy of the throne and quietly determined in order to lead the Shadow Empire. And the other Shadow Empire warlords and commanders sadistically agreed with Black Mask and the Dark Witch Lara, and they originally complied to his commands. During at the time, the Intergalactic Coalition liberated thousands of worlds and planets from the Shadow Empire, meaning all the worlds and all the civilizations were liberated, and the Shadow Empire suffered a huge, enormous amount of setback and a majority amount of setback as the Intergalactic Coalition and the Universal Heroes and the United Heroes liberated those worlds and those planets from the Shadow Empire's control. As the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders continue fighting amongst themselves for the Shadow Empire throne, a new deadly ancient new secret society of supervillains known as the Dark Order, led by Red Bolt, decided to take the throne. He sat at the throne of the Shadow Empire. He sat at the throne of the Shadow Empire and pronounced and proclaimed himself that he is the new leader of the Shadow Empire and that he will lead the Shadow Empire now. One of the other Shadow Empire warlords and commanders threatening in order not to submit to Red Bolt's rule or command. In doing so, Red Bolt decided to make an example of one other Shadow Empire warlord and commander who don't exactly pledge his allegiance or his loyalty to him. He exactly decided to decimate him in front of all the other Shadow Empire warlords and commanders. In doing so, he created a holographic message throughout the Shadow Empire worlds and commanders, stating that Red Bolt is now in charge of the Shadow Empire and that he will lead it with great authority, that anyone else who not pledge his allegiance or loyalty will suffer a fate far worse than death. All the other Shadow Empire warlords and commanders on all the other Shadow Empire warlords and commanders faction and all the other magic users and the dark druids and the dark witches and the dark faithful saw their allegiance and their loyalty to Red Bolt and his ancient secret society of supervillains such as the Dark Order, pledging their loyalty to him and that they will ever serve him and that the Shadow Empire is now under his control. The Dark Witch Lara was able to meet up with Black Mask, stating that the Shadow Empire now is under the control of a new powerful supervillain known as Red Bolt, who's leading it. Black Mask exactly told Lara not to panic or worry. Everything is exactly going the way it was supposed to be, meaning everything else is going exactly in place the way it was meant to be. The new little magic will now lead us and guide us with his new secret society in the shadows. Lara was quietly, personally surprised when she heard the rumors of the new little magic, saying that there's a new little magic within the shadows. Black Mask exactly confirmed it to her, telling her yes, that there is a new little magic within the shadows and that he will be the one leading the Shadow Empire. He and his new ancient secret society will be the one leading it. They were able to exactly create an audience. They were able to arbitrate an audience with Ghostmaster and the other operatives of the Shadow Empire on the 5th of March, stating that Ghostmaster is quietly feeling that his resources and his work to the cause have been quietly feeling useless, and that he has exactly wanted, in order to determine that his loyalty needs to exactly to be shown credit. The new little magic stated that Ghostmaster's work and his good resources and his services have always been appreciated and always been remembered. But in order for that to happen, they can't grant him more than what he asked for. In doing so, Ghostmaster throw a bullet, certainly shot a bullet within his father and straightly to his father and straightly to his mother and also to his former masters. But the bullet was quietly dodged by a new associate known as a new supervillain known as Deathblade, was able to exactly come. Ghostmaster stated that they quickly found his replacement soon as possible to becoming his new associate, as his father stated that your services will always be remembered and will always be required, but if you want to leave and defect, it's more than more welcome that you really are. And Ghostmaster asked his mother that, are you quietly agreeing with this? His mother sadistically said, yes, my dear son, I'm literally agreeing with this. Unfortunately, desperate times call for desperate measures, as his mother said. As unfortunately as his son was able to blow up the base throughout the mountain, was able to escape through a helicopter after his brother known as Shadowfire was able to rescue him. Deathblade was able to continue shooting the helicopter as was able to escape. Black Mask asked the new normal magic that was it necessary for Ghostmaster's defection in order for him to exactly leave. The new normal magic said that your son made his decision and made his choice. Now he needs to lie through his bed, because now he made his choice and now he have to lie through it. His defection is a reason why he chose to defect. Either way, he made his choice and now we need to respect it. Despite that, we need to move forward with our operation, as the new little magic exactly told Black Mask. And Black Mask was statistically quietly unhappy with this, but either way, he realized that it's time to move forward with the operation and with the task at hand, as the Witch Lara was quietly told to exactly do. Witch Lara began exactly continuing with their experiments and furthering with their goals in order to further the Shadow Empire's goals and missions, since it's quietly broken up into two factions. One faction loyal to Red Bolt and his ancient secret society, the other faction loyal to the new little magic and to his ancient secret society, meaning that there's a war brewing between the forces of evil that are waging war with themselves, and the Universal Heroes and the Intergalactic Coalition are still liberating worlds and planets and fighting against the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders who are still threatening to destroy other worlds and other planets. The Dark Witch Laura was able to tell the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches that it's time for them in order to harvest all the unlimited shadow energy and all the magical energy from the other worlds and other planets. They began in order to arrive on the planet's atmosphere with a dark and powerful machine on the 5th of April in order to test the machine's power. The Dark Witches and the Dark Druids and Laura began leading the way, began conducting a ritual in order to extract and harvest all the magic energy and all the light energy and all the light magic from the crystals from the other worlds and from the other planets, forcing the inhabitants to fight back. The light and beautiful warlocks began defending their planet and their home as the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches began attacking them and forcing them in order to attack them in order for them to defend the energy and also their homeworld. But the attack was quietly short-lived after Laura began using her dark magic power and ability in order to decimate some of the other powerful light warlocks with their powers and their abilities that were quietly defeated, and Laura was quietly pleased that her powers was able to exactly deliver much of a flute blow. After seeing almost so much extraction of light magic and energy in a canister of a huge big jar, Laura was quietly very pleased with her experiment notation, and she was able to further her experiment's notation in order to creating monsters and creating monsters and summoning monsters from other dark dimensions in order to fight the Phoenician hunters and keep the Phoenician hunters quietly distracted as per her orders that were taken as her new orders taken straightly from the new little magic. And Laura was quietly statistically able to creating new monsters and new creatures and sending and dispatching them across worlds and planets in order to fight against the Intergalactic Coalition and against the Universal Heroes and against the United Heroes. Her monsters and her creations statistically failed at the mission as they were all defeated by the Universal Defenders, who were quietly led by Lytris and her team of heroes, and her team of heroes were able to defeat her monsters and saving the worlds and the inhabitants. Lytris was able to begin to suspect that there's a new powerful dark witch at work here known as Laura, and that she needs to disrupt her efforts. Lytris additionally arrived at Laurel asteroid base, able to destroy the machine with her light magic. They begin to exactly fight against the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches as Laura began to exactly fight against Lytris using her dark magic and power. She was quietly surprised and quietly amazed with Lytris's newfound magical abilities, as she'd never seen anything like this before. Lytris used those new magical found abilities in order to destroy the machine that Laurel created in order to extract and harvest all the shadow energy and all the light magic and all the energy that was kept within the canister of the jars began spiraling out and began returning back to its rightful owners. Laura was quietly not exactly happy with this, as she told her followers to statistically teleport away, as they all teleported away and the asteroid base was destroyed within the machine. She teleported back through her central headquarters within her laboratory and was able to tell the little magic through the monitors telling him that the operation was quietly a failure as the Universal Defending Heroes destroyed her plans and destroyed her future plans and her goals with the machine and experiments. The new little magic told her that everything else is in place. The operation was a go. You did exactly well as you are supposed to do, meaning that everything else is in order as the way it was supposed to be. And Laura was very, very happy and very, very, very quietly pleased, sadistically quietly pleased. She told the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches that they need to remain low and to keep a low profile now. We'll follow the next plan of the order. We'll follow the next plan as the new little magic begins to lay out the next operations of their plan. Despite this, Laura is a very beautiful dark witch, very beautiful and very immortal. She has lived over for many, many centuries before she met with Black Mass. She inherited the power and the thirst for dark magic. Her obsession with power and darkness and dark magic made her more exceptional and made her more talented and made her more gifted in harnessing dark magic and its powers and ability. She's very, very quietly good with these abilities of super speed, superhuman strength, summoning, creating dark rituals, harvesting shadow energy, teleportation, opening portals to other worlds, using her abilities and her power to further the Shadow Empire, to further the Shadow Empire's goals and ambition, to harvesting all the limited shadow energy and magical energies and ability. She possesses a raw intelligence and raw intellect with her mind, and she's traditionally smart and very, very quietly good. She respects her son's defection and his defection to the cause and to the organization, and as well to the society that she's quietly serving with her new master, and she quietly respects her son's decision and as well as her grandchildren's decision in living their own lives, in fighting against Firebird's team known as the Universal Heroes, in fighting against her own granddaughter with her own team, meaning that she was never quite disrespecting that, but she will always respect her granddaughter's decision and her granddaughter and her grandchildren's decision in leaving the family legacy behind and in choosing a heroic decision. But despite that, she'll always exactly fight against her grandchildren's team in taking down her grandchildren's team known as the Universal Heroes, in stopping them with their goals before they can exactly stop them. She realized that serving the original Lord of Magic, that she learned that from the original Lord of Magic, that the Universal Heroes and the United Heroes cannot be underestimated with the abilities in thwarting their operations and their new mission. Then now that she's serving the newly Lord of Magic, she learned that they cannot be underestimated, as the newly Lord of Magic will manipulate the war and the galactic conflict to his advantage in order to control the fate of the sacred world, and in order to control the Shadow Empire through the shadows and manipulating it to the advantage in order to further his own goals and his ambition. He believes in the extermination of the supernaturals and the aliens of the sacred world and of the sacred universe, because that's exactly what has to come to fruition. She'll ever do whatever it takes to further that goal and that dream to come into reality, no matter what. Despite this, Lara is very ambitious and very determined. She's a very powerful dark witch who loves power, who loves dark power and dark energy, and she'll do whatever it takes to make herself more immortal and more invincible. She loves her family so much and so deeply. She loves her grandchildren, Fire Dragon, Witch Hunter, Firebird, and she loves her two sons known as Ghostmaster and Shadowfly. She loves her two sons, and she'll do whatever it takes in order to protect them. And no matter what, even if they defected from the organization or left the organization, she continually secretly working with them, and she continually remaining in communication with her sons and with their granddaughter. At the time when Firebird returned to her apartment, she found her grandmother sitting on her bed, telling her that it's time for them to exactly speak. She tried to sway her granddaughter from the hero path in order to join the dark side of the villain side, but her granddaughter exactly said no, that she'll stick to her side in fighting against the bad guys and in fighting against the forces of evil. She told her daughter that she'll respect her choice and her decision in fighting against the bad guys or any of the bad guys, and that she'll respect her decision in taking her down and her new master. And she was quietly proud and very, very happy of Firebird, that she became a hero and that she followed in her mother's footsteps despite not in following in her grandmother's footsteps. She loves Firebird so much, and Fire Dragon and Witch Hunter so much. She loves her grandchildren and she'll do anything for them. And she even loves her husband known as Black Mask. Her love for him and his love for her is more powerful than anything. They become the most powerful galactic couple in the entire sacred world, that the Four Nation Hunters have quietly put them in a database, that these two powerful super criminals cannot be underestimated, that their love for each other makes them more powerful and makes them more indestructible than ever. According to the Four Nation Hunter database, the Dark Witch Lara is not meant to be underestimated, that she possesses a great enormous amount of power, and that she's an immortal being who has lived over for many, many centuries ago, and that she's not meant to be underestimated. She's intelligent, and she possesses raw intelligence and raw intellect, and she was able to create destructive technology and supply the destructive technology to her sons, known as Ghostmaster and Shadowfly, and to Fire Dragon and to Witch Hunter as part of the deal and as part of the agreement. And she always continues seeing her son, known as Ghostmaster and Shadowfly, in secret within her secret lair, within her secret laboratory, which is quietly kept in a secret world, in a dark secret world where she can exactly operate from. She maintains her individual basis of operation where she can exactly operate, where the Universal Heroes or the Universal Earth Heroes or Universal Defenders can't exactly find her or locate her. She operates within the shadows of the sacred world with the rest of the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches. She even considers forming an alliance with a powerful group of super criminals such as Ghostmaster, Shadowfly, Black Mask, the Dark Druids, the Dark Witches, and the Dark Faithful, and the Ice Children, and the Ice Druids, and the Ice Witches, and the Water Children, and the Ice Druids, forming an alliance with her own family of super criminals in order to further her own agenda and her own goals. She believes in the original Lord of Magic's goals and mission and dream, that the supernaturals of the sacred world and the aliens of the sacred world must be exterminated. Now that dream is quietly being carried out through the new Northern Magic successors and his proteges, through the new Northern Magic successor and his proteges. She'll continue serving them and she'll continue working for them. Now, she's currently an associate of the new Northern Magic's organization and society. She's very intelligent, very smart, not meant to be underestimated. According to Firebird's database, when she put her grandmother, known as a dark witch, known as Lara, that she's very powerful, very deceptive. She's such a powerful manipulator and not meant to be underestimated. She loves the thrill of battle and she'll never quietly take her opponents or adversaries lightly. She told the Universal Heroes and the Universal Earth Heroes that her grandmother is the most powerful dark witch ever existed throughout the sacred world and throughout the sacred universe, and that she cannot be underestimated. What Universal Man exactly said to Firebird, that your family is a very powerful family of supervillains and that they can't exactly be underestimated. Firebird exactly stopped Universal Man by stating that not only from her father's side is a bad side, but from her mother's side is also there's a good side, because her mother is also a light hunter. She is not a dark witch or anything like that. And War Boy began to respect Firebird's family's history and the rest of her family, meaning that she's not exactly her family, not exactly her villain, her family at all, that she's exactly one of them, and that she belongs to one of the heroes' family, meaning that she's a member of the Universal Heroes, and so she'll ever remain as a member of the Universal, despite her bloodline and her bloodline coming from the villain side, or from the heroic side. But despite this, Lara loves her family. She loves her husband, known as Black Mask. She'll protect him. She'll go to the ends of the universe to protecting him and defending him and loving him no matter what. She's a powerful dark witch who leads the dark druids and the dark witches and the dark faithful under the advisement of Ember. Formally now. Now it's quietly formally. Now she leads the dark druids and the dark witches and the dark faithful under the new orders of the new World of Magic and his new ancient secret society of supervillains who are ruling the Shadow Empire within the shadows. She will exactly continue furthering the new World of Magic's goals and mission. She believes in them and she'll make sure that they come into reality. No matter what. The only obstacle she views as a threat to that plan is Red Bolt and his ancient secret society of supervillains such as the Dark Order and the Universal Heroes, the United Heroes, the World Heroes, and the Universal Defending Heroes, the Universal Space Heroes, and the Intergalactic Coalition. She views them as an obstacle and as a threat to that plan, and she'll do whatever it takes to remove them out of the way, no matter what. Well, guys, I all hope you enjoyed today's video and today's episode. Have a blissfully evening and afternoon. I will see you tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Stay safe and stay happy. Bye.